What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Football Game Show presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon, joined today by two incredible guests, great friends of the show. First up, we've got our friend Russ, aka Dynasty Outhouse on Twitter. For those of you that do not know Russ is the podcast director over at DLF, and he's a host on the Trade Addicts Pod, a show we all love, Dynasty Game Night, and on Dynasty Wall Street. Russ, thank you so much for joining us today, my man.
Thank you for having me yet again. And
we love having you on, and we love people who love games. And you guys,
and yes, and I am putting my foot down. No more Scott Fish jumping in and beating me. No more.
Did that happened last time you were on, right? All of a sudden, Scott Fish jumps in and takes you down in the game show. All of a sudden, we had to call in the ringer, Russ. We knew you were going to come up and perform. We had to call in some competition to make it fair. Well, we'll see if we get any surprise competition today. Guys, also joining us today, we've got our great friend Jorge Martin on the show. Jorge is the founder of Familia FFB, is a contributor over at Fantasy Points Media, and is currently number 7 in Scott Fish Bowl. Jorge, thank you so much for joining the show.
Hold on. I got to pick up. Scott, what was that? Oh, you're busy this hour. Okay, sorry. Okay, just yeah, these guys wanted you to jump on with me. So it's all good. It's all good. We'll catch you next time. Guys, ¿cómo estás? Simón, thank you for having me. Just had to have a little fun. Yeah, thank you so much. I always love the front yard crew. Shout out to everybody out there, but Simón, my man. Much love. It's gonna be
a fun show, guys. We have a fantasy fortune episode planned for you. It's gonna be a good one. I got some good puzzles and some good trivia prepared for the two of you guys, but we got some people in the chat ready to hang out today. Dustin, what's up, my man? He said test comment. Well, it worked. You made it. Good job. Craig said test. This is a test. Test. This is a test. And then said that comment is for Joey and anyone else who like 90s WWF. Do we have any WWF fans on the show today?
That this must be like late 90s WWF, because like this, I mean, I was like Andre the Giant, Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan. I guess that's probably closer to late 80s, and I have no idea what the heck they're talking about.
I'm definitely on the 80s. You know, I could Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, and I could do a mean Randy Macho Man Savage if you need to.
So we do need that. Maybe later in the show we break that out. I wish I had the wrestling knowledge. It's something that I've always felt like I should have loved growing up. I just never had the exposure to it. Like when I look back on it, it's everything that I look for in entertainment. Like it's ridiculous. It's over the top. It's athletic. And there's drama, there's story. And then for some reason, like that's what I love in TV. I never got into it. Maybe it's time to.
It is soap opera for dudes. It's fantastic.
I never knew how big of a fan base there was. I mean, obviously, until I got into fantasy football. And there's this giant overlap between fantasy football fans and wrestling fans. Like it seems like almost like the Venn diagram's a circle.
I don't know what it is about fantasy, but I mean, there's probably fantasy WWE now because of that. I mean, amazing amount of overlap on that one. And when Joey actually showed me a picture of him with Roddy Piper, something like 10 years ago, that was just like, oh. Joey, it was just made your heart time. You know, we were buds for life on that one. Greatest villain
wrestling story is I grew up. My friend growing up, his older brother was good friends with Cody Rhodes. Before he was huge. Like I grew up in the Metro Atlanta area. Cody Rhodes and that Rhodes family is from Marietta. A friend lived in Marietta, and one time I was over at his house. Cody comes over, and I got to play WWE against Cody Rhodes, playing as Cody Rhodes on the Xbox. He played himself over there, and that was a ton of fun. That was pretty cool. We got Green Screens Media in here. What's up, my friend? Welcome in. And Dave Fantasy said, "Where's Simon?" I'm right here. You found me, Dave. Jay said, "Who's Simon?" And Dave said, "Who are we all, Jay?" Jorge, I posed this question to you. Who are we all?
Wow. If you're here, then I'm here. Doesn't that mean it's our time?
I think so. That was the perfect response to that question. Who are we all? You're here. I'm here. It's our time.
I was gonna do a Galaxy. Oh God, what was it? The movie Star Lord. Guardians of the Galaxy. I was gonna do Why Simon.
I think Jay got that one in here right. Or no, Dustin came in with the Y, Simon. Dustin also letting us know he's got to watch today more intently as training. Back on the show next week, which means Dustin has been known to send me some puzzle ideas from time to time. There might be one of his puzzles featured in today's show. But Dustin, I got to be careful not to accidentally use any of the puzzles you sent me next week, or that's going to be a little bit easier. We got Albert in here. What's up, Albert? Welcome in. Glad to have you here. And Albert, excited to see Jorge. We got some Jorge excitement in here. And Dave shouting out Russ.
Hey, thankfully.
And Jay going with Russ and Jorge both give great hugs. We got some good huggers up there.
That's my jam. Like, I go around at the expo wearing a shirt that says "Who wants to hug the outhouse?" and it's literally has a picture of an outhouse with arms out like that. Yeah.
I think I live hugging the outhouse, probably in a different way.
Very different way. Yeah.
Man,
I think I'd much rather a hug from this outhouse.
You owe me one next one.
I got you.
You owe me two because I missed out on one. Greens in here, Simon with the Fire Spurs Fiesta lid. Shout out to my girlfriend. I'm very picky with hats, and she bought me this hat, and it fits, and I love it. If you want to buy me a gift, don't get me a hat because I will most likely not wear it and hurt your feelings. But she succeeded with this one. I absolutely love this hat right here. Mr. Scammers in here saying Jorge killing it, and said Jorge came with the bits. Yeah, Jorge came ready to go with that. And Curly and Jay both want to hear that Macho Man, Jorge. Can you give the people what they want? Can we hear some of that Macho Man?
Oh, yeah. There's no more Hulkamania running wild. It's just Macho Madness.
Look at that. Jorge whipping out the
hat.
Macho Man. Ooh, man, I feel like I wouldn't be talking for a week after pulling
I was about to
that
say, I
out.
lose my voice doing something like that.
I need some tea right now.
Yeah. I have this baby silk voice that I couldn't even pull that off.
Yeah, sometimes you're cursed with too smooth of a voice, Russ, and you just got to learn to live with it.
It's a curse.
Guys, today I brought you here to play some Fantasy Fortune. Before we do that, a couple reminders. Number one, to everybody watching, if you're not already following our incredible guests, go and follow them right now. You can find Russ on Twitter at Dynasty Outhouse and Jorge on Twitter at Jorge Martin 17. Truly, two incredibly kind and incredibly gifted people in this fantasy space. You're going to make sure you are following both of them, and they're both putting out killer content. Fun to watch, and we know if you're watching here, then you probably prefer a little bit of fun in your content as well. After you do that, head on back to this YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to Front Yard Fantasy. It's the easiest way to show your support for what we're doing over here, or to show your sympathy for people that you feel bad for. If you've got some feelings like, oh man, I can't believe Simon has to wake up every day and be Simon, hit that like button. It makes me feel a little bit better, guys. Jay in here backing me up saying two of the best, period. Absolutely two of the best. Guys, before we get into that Fantasy Fortune game, I wanted to kick us off with a question that George came in here with for us. He said, I just traded Sanders and McKenzie for Mike Evans. So how do we feel about that trade? We'll start with that one. Russ, do you like Sanders and McKenzie for Mike Evans?
Oh, that's baller. Evans, so many points. And would you be surprised if Evans and Sanders had the same amount of years left of relevancy? So absolutely, that's all Evans.
Yeah, I don't care if this is dynasty or redraft. I'm a fan of that first trade. What do you think, Jorge? McKenzie and Sanders for Evans?
Well, you know what? Considering that big drop that Evans had last week, he just saved that touchdown for George. I'm telling you, it's right there. So yeah, I like it a lot. I always worry about Sanders a little bit with injuries, and the pounding is going to happen. And gosh, we're all worried about injuries after last weekend.
God, yeah, brutal. There's been just some brutal injuries this year so far. It looked like the offseason was relatively clean. Usually we have some crazy injuries. We got through the season started, and I was like,
and all we had was Tim Patrick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that sucked. Don't get me wrong. Of course that's awful. I drafted a lot of Tim Patrick. We wish him the speediest recovery, but it seems like every year we get a David Johnson, Jonathan Taylor, somebody that goes down and is out for the year, but not this year. But it's catching up to us. It's catching up. There was another part to this question. Traded Swift and Ertz for Kelsey. Jorge, how do you feel about that one?
Oh, you're getting Kelsey. You're getting the tight end one at the most barren position. Absolutely. Swift. Gosh, we expected him to be back after last week, after missing the previous week. And now he missed a week after the bye. So that just has to give you concern. So take Kelsey all day.
Yeah. Even before last week. All right. No, screw it. I got the updated info over here. Travis Kelsey is 6 points per game over the tight end 2. And that's because Mark Andrews felt like not catching a ball last week. And like, guess how many points above he is the tight end 3?
40.
Oh, gosh.
10 points per game over the next. He is at 26 points. Zach Ertz is the tight end 3 at 16 points per game. Okay, that's
per game.
Premium. Yeah.
That's absurd, though. That's absolutely absurd. I don't care what the premium is on that. The 10-point per game difference. I'm with you guys. I like Swift.
You want to win, you go get Kelsey. That's
absolutely.
There's some inherent risk with Swift as well that I feel like doesn't exist for Kelsey. And Ertz is a replaceable level tight end for your fantasy teams this year. Unfortunately, not quite working. Also, Dave in here going 10. Yeah, 10. That's shocking. That is an absolutely shocking number. Man, and Jay in here saying I lost both Brees and Mike Williams in my home league. That's a rough week, man. That is an absolutely brutal week. Also, I saw Dave in here saying Simon with the humble brag about having a girlfriend, but the recycling truck just got here, so I've got that going for me. Dude, recycling trucks are the bomb. We don't even have a recycling truck here because actually we do. Someone stole our recycling bin, and the city said they don't have any more. So we just aren't allowed to recycle anymore because they demand on it being in a blue bin. So if
go to Home Depot and buy a blue bin.
You're right. But then I have to buy another one from Home Depot. What we got right there?
It's Doctor Who.
Doctor Who.
I'm just trying to get it to focus. My camera is a piece of poop.
We got to focus. I'm digging the nails.
Oh, yes.
Love
as
it.
a family, like every other week, me, my wife, and my daughter, we go and get nails and toes.
Beautiful. I love getting my nails done. I'm a big fan. I haven't done it recently, though, because I had this place nearby. It was just one woman in her living room. Her name was Sunny. She ran a studio out of her living room, and I would schedule appointments with her. But I walked by the other day, and it was open the week before. It's a kinder care now. There's a preschool in that home in my neighborhood, just randomly walking. It was like walking distance.
I mean, are like the kids willing to...
It's child labor now is what's going on there. Sonny upgraded the practice. We had one more question in here, guys, before we get into our game. Caden, the Colts fan. What's up, Caden? Want to know, should I trade Jefferson for ETN and Hopkins? Russ, that sounds like an immediate no. You're not doing that?
Should I trade Jefferson? 99% of the times the answer is just no. I don't care if this is redraft or especially not dynasty. Even if we're talking redraft, man, week to week, Jefferson is just there. Like very rarely are you going to be sad you started Justin Jefferson. Man, like I don't care that they just traded away Robinson. Like the Jags can't give ETN every single touch every single week. That's going to have to change a little bit.
Yeah, I'm high on ETN. I'm high on ETN rest of season, and I understand that maybe you're running back needy, lost both of your running backs to injury. That's brutal. Don't make your team worse trying to correct for the injuries. Don't make a trade because of the injuries and just double down on that. That's already like making your team worse and make it even more bad. My words didn't come out so great there, but you get what I'm trying to say, Caden. Don't make your team worse, just reactionary. What do you think, Jorge?
I look at the rest of his team, and I'm like, Lamb for Etienne might be a decent deal.
I would much rather do that. I would much rather send away Lamb for ETN. That's a great point, Jorge.
Start with Godwin.
I like Godwin rest of the year. I'm a big Godwin guy. You already have Godwin, but if you guys don't have Godwin and people haven't caught on to the fact that he's just a great wide receiver who's going to be heavily targeted, go trade for him. Because he's been left for dead.
Especially in Dynasty, if someone's like, yeah, but it'll lose Brady, don't matter. He's that good.
There we go.
He'll be good with anyone.
And Caden said, person with ETN already said no to that. Well, that seems like a fair trade to me, the CeeDee Lamb, but don't overcorrect because they're saying no. That's a difficult place to be in, but that's all good. Guys, we're going to get into our game of Fantasy Fortune. Let me go and pull up this game board, and then I'm going to explain the rules and we're going to get started. The game we're playing today is Fantasy Fortune. It is a lot like the popular TV show Wheel of Fortune, except with a fantasy or NFL twist. Instead of spinning a wheel, contestants are going to be answering mostly 50-50 NFL or fantasy-related trivia questions. Get one right, you get to guess a consonant that you think is in the puzzle. For every instance of the consonant that shows up, we're adding $500 to your round bank. Now, during your turn, if you get that question right and that consonant right, you're going to get to go again. Do it again, you'll get to go one more time, but after 3 times, we are going to end your turn. You will have an opportunity to solve 5 seconds after that, at which point, if you don't solve, we're moving on to the next contestant. If you do manage to do that, though, we're talking 3 questions, 3 letters, all correct. You're going to bank all of that money. It's going to go into your total bank, not just your round bank, and we'll continue on with the round. Now, during your turn, there's a couple other moves you can make besides just answering a question. Before I ask your next question, you can tell me that you want to buy a vowel or you want to solve the puzzle. You can solve the puzzle at any time during your turn except after a question's been asked, and you will earn a minimum of $1,000 into your total bank, regardless of what's in your round bank. So if you got 500, you're earning 1,000, but it is not 1,000 plus. So if you've got 1,500 in there, you're earning 1,500, not that 2,500. Now, the other thing you can do is purchase a vowel. They're going to cost 100 per instance of the vowel that shows up to a max of 500. So because of that, we're going to require you to have a minimum of $500 in your round bank in order to be able to buy a vowel. You dip below that, no more vowels. You either solve or go on to the next question. We will go like this until we run out of puzzles or run out of time, at which point the contestant with the most money banked will be our Fantasy Fortune champion for today. You guys ready?
You still got my PayPal, so you could send me the money that I win?
Yeah, well, we do Cole's Cash. I hope that's all right.
Oh, but dude, the sweaters they got there are wonderful. Yeah, I'm in.
Sweaters and graphic tees. It's
yeah.
all
They're so comfortable, the shirts there.
They are. They have the softest t-shirts. I had like the softest Lilo and Stitch and Dr. Pepper t-shirts in the world from Kohl's, and they always have the most random things on them. Yeah. There's guaranteed to be at least one Star Wars, one random beverage, and one Marvel shirt present at a Kohl's at all times. You can always find those 3 things.
Jay, I have like 3 of them from Marvel shirts from there. So love it.
Every time I go in there, I don't go in often anymore, but I feel like every time I go in, I leave with a shirt that I didn't intend on purchasing. Going for a belt, leave with a graphic tee. Going for some socks, leave with a graphic tee. Guys, everything I just said about the rules of this game is going to be thrown out of the window for puzzle 1 because it's a toss-up. How this is going to work is I'm just going to slowly reveal letters. It's going to be an NFL player's name. When you think you know who it is, just say your name, buzz in. If you get it correct, we're going to add $500 to your total bank. Angel, get to go first on our first real puzzle. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
And a reminder to our contestants, make sure you guys are in the private chat, not in the comments, because everyone in the chat, we want you guys to play along. If you think you know the answer, throw it in the chat for us. If you're right, we'll shout you out. If you're wrong, we will mock you relentlessly. But it's all part of the fun. Let's go ahead and pull up that first puzzle. A reminder, this is going to be a toss-up. So if you think you know it, go ahead and say your name. I'm going to start revealing letters. Here we go.
Jorge,
who is this player?
Paris Campbell.
No.
Jorge, this is Paris Campbell. You're absolutely correct. Paris Campbell is the right answer. That's going to give you $500 into your bank. And before we move on to the next puzzle, I wanted to ask you guys about Mr. Paris Campbell. They are having a quarterback change right now, switching to Sam Ehlinger, but Paris Campbell has been a bit of a target machine and on the field constantly for the past couple weeks after the coaching staff said they wanted to get him more involved. Low ADOT guy, but he's getting peppered with targets. Jorge, we'll start with you since you got this one right. Go to Russ afterwards. How do you feel about Paris Campbell going forward, maybe with the quarterback change affecting that?
Well, considering the fact that they're not using tight ends that much, Mo Alley Cox week 2 notwithstanding, I look at Paris Campbell as being the guy he's going to be a little safety valve for Sam Ehlinger there, and I don't know if he's going to be getting 10 targets a game, but somewhere 6, 8, maybe occasionally 10. I think he's still going to get some, and he's such a playmaker, such a talented guy. Thank you for being finally healthy.
Yes, I've been a fan of Paris Campbell since coming into the league, and that's who he was. He was always a very low ADOT guy. And whenever he was healthy to play, he was in that 8 to 10 to 12 targets every single game through at least 3 quarterbacks at this point. So I wish it wasn't Sam Ehlinger, because let's say he's not good at football, but I'm still not. Again, how do you screw up? Literally just going here, catch.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
3 yard So I honestly, PPR, Paris Campbell's going to be awesome going forward. Again, as long as he stays on the field.
Shout out our friend Dave, Toronto Dave. Thank you so much. Coming in with the toonie. We love a toonie. And he said, I want to buy a vowel, this heart. You got it, Dave. You got this heart. That vowel is all yours. This morning, we had a question come in. Alec Pierce versus Paris Campbell, rest of season, or for just this upcoming week. And our friend Andrew Cooper made a great point, said, we already talked about this earlier this season, just with different names. John Dotson versus Curtis Samuel. It's that low A-dot guy versus that big play guy, and it kind of reframed the way I'm thinking about these two players.
Where did
it is a very similar
they go to
situation.
college, you say?
What'd you say?
Ohio State guys. I mean, like that's what they do.
All Ohio State guys. Now, if you guys had to pick rest of the season, Alec Pierce, Paris Campbell, where are you going? Does the format change it? Because you mentioned PPR being favorable for Campbell.
No, I think Paris Campbell's a lot safer. Pierce is a deeper guy, and again, Ehlinger's just not very good. So I don't really trust him to be able to hit Pierce, even when Pierce is probably wide open. And I'm still bitter about him dropping that touchdown in like week 1 or 2. That I'm still going to say just go Paris Campbell.
Jorge, you agreeing?
I'm still bitter about that week 2 also, that big donut he had. So I know what you're saying. It cost me a game on one of my leagues. I actually dropped him in that league because of that, and then now I'm regretting it. Yeah, I think it's Campbell. You get the low A-dot guy. He's that safety valve. He's going to be getting those short tosses and hopefully, doing something with it with his legs.
I think Campbell's the more like if you just ask me who's going to end the season with more fantasy points, it's Paris Campbell. So for most teams, that's probably the guy you want to add. But I think it is a little bit team dependent. Like if you have a stellar wide receiver core, you've got 5 guys that are in that top 30 range. You're probably never going to start Paris Campbell. He's probably never going to crack your lineup. I take a shot on the rookie with the big play upside.
Yeah.
Know what I mean? Throw him on the back of my bench, see if he gets more involved over the second half of the season. That being said, in 90% of scenarios, I'm on the Paris Campbell side, way safer. And there is some decent upside with the volume of targets he's getting, especially in a PPR league. Before we move on to our next puzzle, nice job, Jorge. We had a question in here from Super CMB Challengers. Want to know, should I trade away Mike Evans and Jerry Jeudy for Derrick Henry in a PPR league? Russ, are you making this trade?
Redraft, yes. Dynasty, no.
Redraft making
like this is a very let's go win, but Mike Evans is going to give you a lot of points too. But trading for running backs is just blah, like in Dynasty. So redraft, I would do it. In Dynasty, I get that Evans is 28, which is like the equivalent of 47. And Jerry Judy's not really that offense isn't really doing it up in Denver, but still, I would rather hold on to Evans and Judy in Dynasty. But I mean, if you want to go in and get Derrick Henry.
What about you, Jorge?
Yeah, if you're trying to win in redraft, go get Derrick Henry, especially if you need a running back. I don't have a lot of shares in him this year because I was a little worried about that foot, but he's just been a beast. And but yeah, on the Dynasty side, no, please hold.
And he's confirming it's redraft. I'm with you guys. I'm down to make that move. Running back is difficult to trade for, especially of those upper tier guys. So you're going to have to give up something like a Mike Evans. Yeah. But this is fair. I think it's a great trade. Guys, we're going to move on to our next puzzle. And Jorge, you are going first in this round. We've got my favorite category, movie and NFL player mashups. So we just take player names and shove them into movie titles where maybe they don't belong, and you get a puzzle. An example, maybe Boston Scott Pilgrim versus the World, or a TV show one we had Tim, Patrick, and Morty, where we combine them together like that. So it can be a word shoved in there. It can be the words combined together. Just know this is a movie title, and there is a player name mashed up in there somewhere. A reminder, guys, over in the private chat, because our viewers are very good at this category. They usually figure this one out. Jorge, are you ready for your first question?
Yeah, I'm ready to get beat by Mr. Scampers.
Here's what we're going to go with, Jorge. We're going to start with some week 7 fantasy points questions. Week 7's fresh on our minds. So what I want to know is who scored more PPR fantasy points in week 7? Who scored more PPR fantasy points in week 7? Was it Terry McLaurin or was it T. Higgins?
McLaurin.
It was McLaurin, the number 11 wide receiver on the week compared to T. Higgins down there at 22. Which letter would you like, Jorge?
Let's go with an S, like Simon.
An S, as in Simon. Simon. We've got one S in this puzzle. Jorge, going to add 500 to your score. Would you like another question? Would you like to solve, or would you like to purchase a vowel?
Let's do another question.
Also, Dave in here with the shout out scamps. Yeah, Mr. Scamper always in here solving these puzzles before our contestants. Another question. Is that what you said, Jorge?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Who had more PPR fantasy points this week? Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 7? Was it Brandon Ayuk or was it DJ Moore?
It's close, but I think that touchdown got it for DJ Moore.
It was DJ Moore. Nice job, Jorge. Which letter would you like?
Let's go with an R.
R. There are 3 R's in this puzzle. Gonna add 1,500, bringing you up to 2,000. So, Jorge, a reminder: this will be your last opportunity to purchase a vowel on this turn. If it gets back to you, you'll have more opportunities. So you can either do that, solve, or take your third and final question of this round.
Let's buy a vowel. I'm gonna buy an A.
An A. There are 3 A's in this puzzle. Going to subtract 300. So the same options are still available to you. You can buy another vowel, you can solve, or you can take your final question.
Let's do one more question.
One more question. We're going to stick with some PPR fantasy points. Who scored more PPR fantasy points in week 7? Was it Juju Smith-Schuster or was it Mike Evans?
Juju.
It was Juju. Thank God, I'm so happy he's stepping it up over the past couple weeks. Praise. But that being said, Jorge, what letter would you like? Get this right, you bank all this money. It's going into your round bank.
Let's do a T.
A T. There is 1 T in this puzzle. Going to add 500. Jorge, you've got 5 seconds to solve this puzzle, or we're moving on to Russ.
Let's see.
Just don't get it.
We are going to move on to Russ, but you're going to add all of that money, bringing you up to 2,700 for answering all those questions correctly. Russ, would you like a question, or would you like to solve this puzzle?
I'm just going to solve it.
Okay.
Avengers: Age of Ultron Moore.
Oh my God, you pulled it out. Avengers: Age of Ultron Moore.
Did I beat the...
You beat the chat. Albert got Avengers: Age of, but couldn't pull the rest of it. That was impressive, Russ. I thought this was one of the tougher movie matchups I'd done because Ultron
is my jam. Like this is what I do.
Oh my God. You
Fantastic.
Absolutely. I should have known you. You're the name game champ over there. Pulled that one out of nowhere. Russ, that's going to earn you $1,000 for pulling that puzzle.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
Impressed. That was freaking awesome. Russ, before we move on to our next puzzle, Rondale Moore's had an uptick in involvement. I'd given up on this guy. I had said Rondale Moore's never going to happen. We're not going to see it. Greg Dortch comes in, outplays what we've ever seen from Rondale Moore on this field. And then Rondale Moore's healthy, and it seems like he's part of this offense. Are you expecting more of the same involvement from Rondale Moore down the stretch, even with Hopkins back?
Yes. I mean, Hopkins has nothing to do with Rondale Moore. It's the exact same thing we were talking about before with Paris Campbell and with Curtis Samuel. Rondale Moore's a low ADOT guy. So good. Give me, I wish Hollywood Brown didn't get hurt, because you have Hollywood Brown going deep, Nuke in the intermediate, and then just Rondale Moore being like, oh, there's nobody left to cover me. Just throw the ball 3 yards, give it to me, and I'm very, very good in the open space. So just go. So Rondale Moore should be a part of this offense. That's the best I can say.
Jorge, do you agree with Russ here on Rondale's involvement going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just the Hollywood Brown injury really was something that I mean, is going to open things up a lot for Rondale Moore. Before the season, I interviewed a writer for who covers them for USA Today, and he just said that all the Christian Kirk targets were going to go to Rondale Moore. And we're seeing it already just the last couple of weeks. And I mean, Nuke Hopkins is still going to open things up for him, but yeah, Rondale is going to get plenty of targets here on out, and he's going to be a factor. I hope so, because I had preseason, I had Kyler Murray pulling receipts on myself as the quarterback 3.
He needs to step it up a bit.
Really needs to step it up, please. Por favor. Por favor.
It's been rough. And then it's not a good look whenever they cut him on the sidelines and he's screaming at the coach, right? Like that's and it didn't look like just like competitive screaming. There looked like there was some anger behind those eyes when he was yelling at him.
Yep.
Shout out Dustin said I gave them Avengers: Age of Ultron Jones, so I refrained from answering.
That's
on
the
that
first thing that I'm like, he did not do. Okay, there's an R there. That is not Ronald Jones. I thank you for not making me say that out loud.
Also, we've got Dave in here saying he's 22, Simon. Whenever I said I gave up on Rondale Moore, well, so is Terrace Marshall, and I'm giving up on him as well.
Hey, he finally made 2 catches in one game.
Yeah, that's what finally I'm calling that his breakout, because I think that's about his ceiling as well. That's your Terrace Marshall breakout right there. We've got JL in here. What's up, JL? Welcome in. Glad to have you in here. And we have a question from Alizar. Said, what do you guys think about James Robinson's situation? So this is the hot topic today, right? James Robinson on the New York Jets. Russ, what do you think about James Robinson on the New York Jets? Is he stepping in and filling that Breece Hall role, or are we looking at a committee between him and Michael Carter?
First of all, Michael Carter all the way. Second of all, it was a committee anyway.
Yeah.
Like Michael Carter was getting a lot of work. Michael Carter was getting the red zone work, which is what worries me a little bit for Michael Carter. And did I hurt his feelings that he keeps leaving? No one, he's not Breece Hall, James Robinson. So I don't think we can just say, okay, well, Michael Carter's going to do the same thing and James Robinson's going to be Breece Hall. They're probably going to get like a 50-50 split. And what sucks is we now probably don't know who's going to get the goal line work. So it's going to be rough at first, but they're both good running backs, so they'll both get the ball.
Yeah, I probably expect James Robinson to fill a decent role in this offense. I'm with you, Russ. These guys are probably both startable the rest of the year, but lower your expectations. Don't expect even necessarily like RB2 numbers. I'm thinking of these guys as like solid RB3s, both of them. And you can start them week in, week out, as long as those are your expectations. Jorge, how do you feel about this situation?
I think it's going to be more of a 50-50 because I think it was getting close to being 60, 65, 35 in favor of Breece. I think it's going to be pretty even between Carter and Robinson. Robinson is nowhere near the player that Breece Hall was, especially post Achilles. I mean, he showed some early in the season, but the one thing that worries me a little bit is the loss of Elijah Vera Tucker on the offensive line, who was doing so well and being a big part of the opening up the holes for the running game. So that one really worries me. But James Robinson, I think he's going to be helpful. I think he's going to be a help because also the fact that the Jets are running the ball. They are a running team. I don't know if it's that they don't trust Zach Wilson yet, or they've seen what they need to see and they know not to put their trust in Zach Wilson.
I miss the gunslinger Joe Flacco. I miss 50 passes a game Joe Flacco out there on the field. Like that was not on my NFL bingo card for 2022 that we were going to see Joe Flacco just slinging the ball for the Jets. But they changed their mind as soon as they put Zach Wilson back in on how they wanted to run this offense. Also, we've got Dustin in here saying Velus Jones scored a TD at age 72, so there is always hope for Rondale. You're right, Dustin. He's an inspiration to everybody. Russ, nice job on solving that puzzle. We are going to load up our next puzzle now. And our next puzzle is NFL teammates. So these are two guys that are on the same NFL team. Russ, you got that last one right, which means Jorge's going to go first on this puzzle. So Jorge, would you like a question or would you like to solve?
Let's question.
A question. We're going to look at some season-long so far fantasy points. So this is through week 7. Okay, we're talking all the points scored, PPR, up to this point in the season. What I want to know is through 7 weeks, who has more PPR fantasy points? Who has more PPR fantasy points? Is it Joe Mixon or is it Josh Jacobs?
Oh, Jacobs.
It is Jacobs, the number 4 running back on the year so far. Which letter would you like, Jorge?
Let's go back to the S.
An S, and there are 2 S's in this puzzle, going to earn you $1,000 into your round bank. What's next? Another question. Would you like to buy a vowel or would you like to solve?
Let's go another question. I'm going to fill this board up for Russ again so that he can steal it from me.
Another question. Who has more PPR fantasy points so far throughout the season? Who has more PPR fantasy points? Is it Najee Harris or is it Antonio Gibson?
I think it's still Najee.
I'm sorry, it's Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson has got him beat by about 10 points, so it's not that big of a difference. But Antonio Gibson sitting at RB17, Najee at RB22, which means, Russ, we're coming to you. You ready for your question, or do you want to solve this?
I'm going to solve it.
You're going to solve it. Here we go. Let's see if we can pull it off twice.
We just talked about them. It's James Robinson and Michael Carter.
It is James Robinson and Michael Carter, fresh on the mind. When that question came up, I was like, man, maybe it'll like reverse psychology them into not figuring out this next puzzle right away because it seems so obvious. But Russ, you were right there ready to pull that in. Meaning you're going to bank $1,000 again for that one. 2 solves, not even a question asked your way yet, Russ.
Good, because I'll get the answers wrong. This is what I just need to be doing.
Russ, you're playing this game how I like to play it. I'm a fan of the puzzles, and I try to avoid the trivia. If I can YOLO solve it, even if there's there's 4 other things that could fit in there, I'm going to take my shot. I'm going to shoot my shot right there. Albert in here getting this one 2 minutes ago. James Robinson and Michael Carter. Nice job, my man. And Alzar in here answering the question said, I think Gibson. Nice job pulling that one. That was definitely a tough question on Antonio Gibson.
Right
I think
now,
we can move on to
never Najee at this point.
We can move on to our next puzzle. We already talked about these guys quite a bit. So let's go ahead and pull up that next one, puzzle number 4. And this one is rhyme time. Some examples of what we've done in the past is playing clarinet with Jacoby Brissett. Something along those lines, something stupid like that. Driving a Toyota with Marcus Mariota. Just different things along those lines. And that's going to be the general vibe of this puzzle. Not much else I can explain about that. It rhymes, and there's probably a player in there. Russ, again, you got that one right, which means, Jorge, we're starting with you on the trivia. You ready for your first question?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Let's stick with some season-long PPR fantasy points. Who has more PPR fantasy points through 7 weeks? Who has more PPR fantasy points through 7 weeks? Is it Christian Kirk or is it A.J. Brown?
It's close, but the AJB was out was sitting last week because of the bye. I'm gonna go Kirk.
Kirk is correct, and you read it perfectly. He's already had his bye week, AJ Brown, down there with only 6 games played compared to 7. Nice job, Jorge. Which letter would you like?
Let's go with a T, like Tom.
T as in Tom. There are 2 T's in this puzzle. Gonna add 1,000 to your round bank. You want another question? You want to buy a vowel, or you want to solve? You want to pull a Russ right here?
Yeah, I'm like I need to add letters because Russ I know has already got it. So let's ask another question.
Another question. Okay, who has more PPR fantasy points so far on the season? Who has more PPR fantasy points so far on the season? Is it Devin Duvernay or is it Cortland Sutton?
Sutton.
Sutton is correct by about 15 points. Which letter would you like, Jorge?
S like Simon.
S like Simone, and there are 2 S's. Going to add another grand. This is your last opportunity to buy vowels this turn, or we can roll right into that third question, or you can solve it.
Let's go another question.
Another question. Okay, who has more PPR fantasy points through 7 weeks? Who has more PPR fantasy points through 7 weeks? Is it Mike Williams or is it T. Higgins?
Williams.
It is Williams. Which letter would you like, Jorge? Get this right. You're banking this money.
M. Like
M
Mary.
as in Mary?
Yes.
There we go. There are 2 M's in this puzzle. Going to add another 1,000. Jorge, you've got 5 seconds to solve, or we're moving on to Russ. We are moving on to Russ. Russ, do you want to solve this puzzle? Would you like a question?
I'm going to try and solve it.
No way.
Oh, wait a second. Shoot.
Is it riding a camel with Curtis Samuel?
It is riding a camel with Curtis Samuel. Unbelievable, Russ. Just unbelievable that you pulled riding a camel with Curtis Samuel out from right there. That was unreal.
I had Curtis Samuel. I didn't have the riding a camel with.
I legit have no idea how I got that one. Don't forget to bank his points, though.
If we bank those, Russ, you're up at 3,000. You now have the lead over Jorge. Now,
Doesn't
Jorge
he get the points for getting the 3 letters in a row?
He did, and he had $3,000 in there, so he should be up at 5,700. You saved me, Russ. I did that to our friend Andrew Metcalf the other day, and to our friend Nate Polvo, and there was a revolt. There was a riot for me ripping these guys out of victories.
Jen show up at your door, like pounding, like
she was fighting. She was ready to fight, and I was like, "It was an accident. We'll correct it. The record will show that Nate was the winner." Dustin in here with wow, Russ is on fire. And Joey said, Russ is the best player I've ever seen. I'm really glad I wasn't invited on the show today. Russ, have you ever auditioned for Wheel of Fortune?
I should. I always wanted to.
These
You
puzzle
know,
solves are incredible. The
you
number of
sit there
letters
and
on
feel
there.
dumb through Jeopardy just to be like, all right, now I'm ready. You know, all those people that knew that stupid trivia, that's fine. I'm about to beat you at Wheel of Fortune.
I know words. Watch what I can do. My favorite part about Wheel of Fortune is the puzzles. They're so just like the most ridiculous. Like it'll be like something you do, and then it'll be like playing marbles in the cul-de-sac. Like it'll just be like the most random collection of words. And Joey said, well, we got your audition tape. So we got your audition tape ready. We could just send this into them. Nice job on that one, Russ. And nice job, Jorge, getting the trivia right. Before we move on, Russ, we talked about the other low A dot guys. I guess it's a low A dot kind of day. Is Curtis Samuel startable week in, week out in fantasy?
Seems that way. I mean, it doesn't really seem to matter who the quarterback is. They're going to need to throw the ball because I want to love Brian Robinson because of the human story, you know, but like their running backs aren't great and their quarterbacks aren't great. So again, you just want to go with the low A dot guys, even though I loved that Terry McLaurin touchdown. Give us more. But I mean, please. Curtis Samuel, it was another guy. Same with Paris Campbell. Just like if the dude could just stay healthy for long enough, and no one does well on the Panthers anymore. So leave the Panthers, stay healthy, do well. So I do think Curtis Samuel will be startable every week.
What about you, Jorge? You agree?
I do. Plus, I love those little, jet sweeps, the little, the occasional rushing, the poor man's Deebo Samuel role that he's got. Yeah. Love it. Give me more.
Would you rather ride a camel with Curtis Samuel or play clarinet with Jacoby Brissett?
Since I've never played clarinet, I think I'd ride the camel. I think it'd be more fun. Let somebody else do the work.
I enjoy my bones, and I've no interest on climbing on or falling off of a camel. And while I've never played clarinet before, I'm sure we'd have more fun trying to figure out how to play a clarinet than me just being buried in sand.
That's what I was going to say. It's like, the other thing is, I don't know how comfortable a camel is. Like, it doesn't look like the best animal to sit on out of all the animals out there. It's got to be like, of the animals you can ride, it's like bottom tier for me. I'd probably put like ostrich above camel. That looks a little bit more comfortable.
Yes, I want like, it would kill me, but I would ride an ostrich well over a camel. I would. Yeah, let's go.
Ostriches are fast. You might fall at a great speed. Camels are kind of meandering.
At least with the ostrich, like you just have something to grab onto. Like that neck is perfect. Like
the faster it gets, and then it just collapses.
Your legs are just like flapping behind you.
I met emus one time, and you know what? This is changing my answer. It camel above ostrich because that was the scariest animal I've ever met in real life. Was an emu. We stayed on a farm in California when we were on we rented a camper van and we were doing a road trip down the coast. And one of the nights we just there was a farm stay where we could park our camper van there. And they had emus, like 15 of them in this pen. And I don't know if you know what noise they make, but it sounds like a war drum in the distance. Like you just constantly hear like boom, 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 boom. Like they're just making this war drum noise. And they have like this dead look in their eyes and that giant beak. And keep me away from those devil birds. They're evil. I can see it in their eyes. Oh, sorry. I just went on a little tangent. Back to fantasy football. Guys, let's move on to our next puzzle. Both of you guys playing out of your minds right now. We've got another NFL player movie mashup here, Russ. This is right up your alley. You said you were loving the name game. We'll see how you like this one. We'll see.
Yeah, Russ, should you just try and solve first?
I'm thinking about it.
Also, Dave saying, I want to play the clarinet while riding a camel. And Dave, I feel like Dave's on my team here because he said the scariest animal I've ever been around is a rooster.
Any sort of bird is just
exactly.
Goose. I got charged at by a goose one time, and I think I saw parts of my life flash before my eyes.
I have a very fun story for another time about being chased through a college quad by a goose.
Geese are crazy. They don't care how big you are. They put all of their stat points into intimidation and said, I don't need strength. I don't need anything. I'm just going to be scary and loud.
It works.
And it does work. It absolutely works. Guys, here's your NFL player movie mashup. Russ, you solved riding a camel with Curtis Samuel, which means it's going to be Jorge's turn to start again on this one. Jorge, you ready for your first question?
Let's do it.
Okay, what I want to know is who has more rushing yards so far this season? Who has more rushing yards so far this season? Is it Lamar Jackson or is it Ezekiel Elliott?
Action Jackson.
It is Action Jackson with 510 to Elliot's 443. Which letter would you like, Jorge?
It's been working for me. S like Simon.
Our 3 S's in this puzzle. Going to put 1,500 in your round bank, Jorge. Yeah. Would you like a question, or would you like to solve, or would you like to buy a vowel?
Let's do another question.
Another question. Who has more rushing yards so far on the season? Who has more rushing yards so far on the season? Is it Leonard Fournette or is it Travis Etienne?
It's Fournette.
I'm sorry, it is Travis Etienne with 415 to Leonard Fournette's 362. That was definitely one of the trickier ones. But Russ, that means we're moving on to you. Would you like a question or would you like to solve this puzzle?
Of course he's going to solve it.
No, I need to. Come on, Jorge, do better.
He was going for the perfect game.
Oh, I did. I wanted the 50. I wanted those 1,500.
Question
for Russ. Okay, my question for you, Russ, is who has more rushing yards so far on the season? Who has more rushing yards?
No. I'm going to solve it.
I've started asking the question, so unfortunately, I'm going to have to ask you to answer this question first, but then you can solve. It's my one rule, and if I don't live by that, then it's going to devolve.
You said rules were out the window.
Except for that one. Here's your question. Get it right, then you will guess a letter, and then you'll have your opportunity to solve. Who has more rushing yards so far this season? Is it Josh Jacobs or is it Christian McCaffrey?
Josh Jacobs.
It is Josh Jacobs, number 3 so far this season. Which letter would you like, Russ?
A C.
A C. There is one C in this puzzle. Going to add 500. Would you like to solve here?
Hocus Pocus Edwards.
It is Hocus Pocus Edwards on that one.
I'm so angry.
I thought I was going to get you missing up the G in there. I was like, oh, this one Russ isn't going to get right away. Unreal, Russ. This is your bread and butter, isn't it?
So angry.
Going to add 1,000 to your round brain.
What, that you needed to answer a question? You're so angry?
Russ, I'm still calling this a perfect game because you obviously knew it even before you answered the question. Dave in here with Russ is a superstar. Joey Wright with unbelievable. Dustin coming in with the wow. And Toronto said Russ on demon time. And Russ is too good. You are shocking the world with these puzzle solves today, Russ. It's unbelievable. I really thought this one was going to be tricky. But
did anybody in the chat get it?
Nope, not even close. We had Valus Jones from Albert. So that was the closest anybody got. You absolutely murdered that one, Russ. No one in the chat even coming close. Before we move on to our next puzzle, with J.K. Dobbins going on the IR, is Gus Edwards someone that you're looking to pick up off the waiver wire?
Yeah, has to be.
Has to be. Now, is this how are you viewing him? Is he a plug and play RB1, RB2, or is he more of a flex play RB3 kind of guy?
RB2 to be. I mean, they want to run the ball. Gus Edwards has always done well with them. And they don't care that he's not J.K. Dobbins. They just, and they don't care. I don't care. He's going to get some points. So that's fine.
I agree with that analysis. That's exactly how I feel about it. That's what I'm doing with Gus Edwards. If he's on my team, just like, okay, go score the points. Jorge, you agree about Gus Bus?
Yeah, I'm looking at it as an RB2 or flex guy. He's going to get. I mean, we saw they're already giving him the short yardage carries. So give him those opportunities. So I'll take those. Of course, we still know the RB1 in Baltimore is Lamar Jackson.
I thought you were about to say Kenyon Drake, and I was like, I know no such thing, Jorge. I know absolutely no such thing about that.
I knew where you were going. Don't you worry about it.
I don't want us to fight because I just want to. Why can't we be friends?
We can. Guys, we're going to move on to our next puzzle. I think we got time for at least one more. Russ, I'm going to let you pick the next category. We've got 3 options. Would you like horrible team names, NFL headline, or top 24 PPR running backs?
Oh, horrible headline. That was fun last time.
Horrible team names or NFL headline? Horrible team
NFL
names?
Headlines.
NFL headline. Let's go ahead and pull NFL headline up here. Let me load that puzzle up. And Russ, yet again with the solve, which means Jorge is going to start first with the questions on this one. Jorge, do you want to solve this or do you need a question?
The dash is somewhat telling, but let's NFL. No, let's let the question.
Okay, my question for you is, who has more receiving yards so far this season? Who has more receiving yards so far this season? Is it Travis Kelce or is it Marquise Brown?
Kelce.
It is Kelce. 553 to Marquise Brown's 485. Which letter would you like, Jorge?
S like Simon.
S like Simon. Let's see how many of them are up there. There are 2 S's, going to add $1,000 to your round bank, Jorge. What's next? Another question, a vowel, or a solve?
Let's go question.
A question. My question for you is, who has more receiving yards so far this season? Who has more receiving yards so far this season? Is it Amari Cooper or is it Chris Olave?
It's close, but I believe it's Cooper.
I'm sorry. It is Chris Olave with 495 to Amari Cooper's 422. It is fairly close. But that means, Russ, we're moving on to you. Would you like a question or would you like to solve this puzzle?
I need a question.
A question. Who has more receiving yards so far this season? Who has more receiving yards so far this season? Is it Deebo Samuel or is it CeeDee Lamb?
CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb is absolutely correct. Which letter would you like, Russ?
D. As in
D.
David.
There are 2 D's in this puzzle. Going to add $1,000 to your round bank. Would you like to buy a vowel? Would you like another question or would you like to solve?
Another question.
Another question. Who has more receiving yards so far this season? Who has more receiving yards so far this season? Is it Devontae Adams or is it DK Metcalf?
We'll go with Adams.
It is Adams. I tried the double trick there, see if I could get you to question it, but you didn't fall for it. Which letter would you like, Russ?
T as in Tom.
T as in Tom, and there are 3 T's in this puzzle. Going to add $1,500 to your round bank. Russ, this will be your last opportunity to buy a vowel on this turn, unless it gets back to you, or we can roll into your final question, or you can solve this puzzle. What are you thinking?
Yeah, just give me a question.
Third question. Get this one right and get that letter right. You're going to bank all this money, Russ. We're gonna move on over to passing yards for this last one. Who has more passing yards so far this season? Who has more passing yards? Is it Matt Ryan or is it Kirk Cousins?
Man, I don't care about the buy. I'm still going to say Kirk Cousins.
I'm sorry. It is Matt Ryan with 500 more passing yards so far this season. And then he gets benched for Sam Ehlinger. He is number 4 on the list in passing yards in 2022, which means, Jorge, we're back to you. Would you like a question? Would you like to solve, or would you like to buy a vowel?
I need question.
A question. My question for you is, who has more passing yards so far this season? Who has more passing yards so far this season? Is it Tom Brady or is it Jalen Hurts?
It's Hurts.
I'm sorry. It is Tom Brady with 1,942 to Jalen Hurts 1,514. Tom Brady's played one more game and maybe has thrown for more yards than we're expecting based on the results of this Buccaneers team. But Russ, that means we're back to you.
Oh, I'll solve it.
Okay, let's hear it.
Jags trade J-Rob to RB needy Jets.
It is Jags trade J-Rob to RB needy Jets.
I'm stuck on J-Rob for
You got it. And the chat is celebrating, Russ, because they finally, first time on the show, beat you to an answer. Dustin got Jags trade blank to RB needy Jets.
Exactly.
And then Dave coming in with J-Rob.
Oh, no. We're not group answering questions. No. If one of you beat me, that'd be fine.
In Toronto, Dave with the Russ. Yeah, I tried to throw you guys off by shortening it to J-Rob, throwing in the RB needy with the hyphen, try to mix it up a little bit, but great job on that one, Russ. And Russ, that is going to bank that $2,500 for you. And at the buzzer, give you the victory in Fantasy Fortune today, my man.
No, this is a joint victory because Jorge got me exactly where I needed to solve these puzzles.
Also, Dustin in here saying the chat is one whole group. Mod rules. It's a team win. They're canceling out what you're saying, Russ. But Russ, truly, that is the most dominant puzzle solving I've ever seen on an episode of Fantasy Fortune. And Jorge, your trivia on this episode, you are a trivia machine. Absolutely killing it.
If you ever do like teams, Jorge,
can we? Yes, please.
You know
let's do it.
Honestly, that would be terrifying. I'm not sure I can put together a duo that's going to take you guys down if you guys team up. Absolutely insane. Everybody watching, if you guys have not done so already and this wasn't enough to convince you, I'm going to try one more time. Go follow our friends Jorge and Russ on Twitter. Russ is on Twitter at Dynasty Outhouse. Not only is he the best fortune puzzle solver we've ever had, but he's a great analyst and a truly kind person. And then Jorge Martin is an unreal friend and an unbelievable analyst. I don't know if there's a kinder man or a more welcoming man or a man whose presence makes you smile more immediately in fantasy football than Jorge Martin. So guys, go and follow these two. You will not regret it. And Jorge and Russ, thank you guys so much for joining us today. This was an absolute blast.
Always thank you.
Oh, I never had more fun getting my butt kicked. It was such a good time. Such a good time. That was awesome.
We will be back tomorrow morning from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern. Myself, John Luke, and Coop A Fiasco on the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. So make sure to come hang out with us then. And if you want some help or you want some say in what we're going to talk about on that show tomorrow, right after this, Jail and I are going live having our programming meeting on YouTube. So we're just going to live stream us planning the show for tomorrow. And if you want to help us out, if you have some ideas that you think would be good in there, jump in there, hang out with us, and let us know your ideas. Until then, though, we are out of here. Another huge thanks to Russ and Jorge. Big thanks to everybody in the chat. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Adios, everyone.
Salud.